Yes.
There we go. Thank you, Lori.
All right. So welcome, everybody. I'm excited that so many of you were able to make it. Kathy, you got up for this. That's amazing. I won't keep you guys here too long. I plan on this being just about an hour, give or take a little bit. I'm going to run through my supplies real fast, just to make sure everybody has everything. Once I'm done with that, I'm just going to show you some of my books in case anybody needs to run off and grab anything that you forgot, give you a little bit of time, and then we'll get started. So I am going to flip to my other camera. And just want to make sure everybody can see everything okay, and you can hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So everybody should have a couple of magazines. It doesn't matter what they are. It could really be anything. Or if you don't have magazines, sometimes you can use junk mail. You can use travel brochures, anything that has photos or words in it that you can cut out. Notebook. I have every size composition book available, but I'm going to focus on one of the two smaller sizes. So this is a mini, it's kind of a pocket size, which is super handy for carrying around. And this is the half size, which I like. It gives you a little bit more room for journaling, which is our purpose this time. So this is what I'm going to use. And really any notebook will work. Cutting, you can either cut your images out with scissors. I like to tear them out with a ruler or a straight edge. That's just completely preference. And then a glue stick is best. We want to use kind of a dry glue. It just helps it not get too messy and wet. And then I have some threads, some charms. I used to make jewelry, so I have a lot of this stuff laying around. This is completely optional, but I will show you at the end how we do that. And then I almost forgot the contact paper. You can also use laminating sheets, anything clear with an adhesive back to cover it and protect it. I have a book that I recently made that does not have that on it. I thought I was going to be fancy, and it's not a good idea. So I'm going to eventually add it on. I'm just not finished. So this is one of my most recent ones that I've had to put this plastic around so it doesn't pick up things off my desk. So this is one that I made. This is a full-size one. It barely fits in the frame, but just to kind of give you an idea, it's just kind of random things. So we're going back to like junior high school days. We used to collage things out of magazines. So that's what we're going to be doing today. This one is here since it was loud. So I'm just going to run through a couple of my journals that I've made, and then we will get cracking. This is the first one that I made. So this is the one that kind of started it all. And you can see sometimes they're very basic. It really doesn't matter what you put on this. It's completely up to you. This one was a lot of colors, patterns, a couple words. Really quite simple, which is funny. And then I filled it with all kinds of stuff. I journaled, I painted, I drew. So really it can be used, piece of poetry. It can be for anything. Obviously ours has a certain intention, which is nice, but I'm just kind of showing you some other uses. You can get very specific. I made this one for a tarot course I was going through. I'm a yoga teacher, so I made this one to house my lesson plans. I haven't wanted to write in this particular one, so I might gift it to somebody actually, because it's pretty cool and I haven't used it yet. But just to show you a couple of different ideas. And then I'll get into the small ones because that's what we're going to be working with today. So you can see a little bit of variety. This one I made, my daughter's getting married in May. So this is for me to kind of capture my responsibilities and the things that I'm doing. A place to capture my notes. Another one. You can see I've made a lot of these. This is barely a handful of my collection, but might become addicting. And then these are my littles. This was the first one I did, small, and I fell in love with it. It's my idea book. So I just keep it with me, and anytime I have a random idea, I jot it down. I do a lot of creativity stuff, so I have lots of ideas. Okay, so let's get started. The first part is going to, I'm gonna flip this back up to just for a minute. The first part is just gonna be grabbing your magazines and rifling through and picking anything that just kind of catches your eye. It could be a picture, it could be a word, it could be a pattern or a color. Really not giving too much thought in it, just if something stands out, it's like, oh, that's interesting. Rip it out of the book or cut it out of the magazine and just allow it to be in a small pile. We're gonna do this for about 10 or 15 minutes. Just to get a nice pile of images, words, stuff like that. Before we get too deep into, and we can chit chat during this time too. So if anybody has any questions or anything like that, I can answer questions. We should have some music to come on. I tend to tear my pages, so I don't know if you guys are going to be able to hear my tearing, but I hope not. Right, somebody else is tearing, I can hear it. Perfect. So this is something that, like I said, you can do these books for anything really. It's a nice activity to kind of see what's going on or what's in your bubble of awareness currently.
That's actually quite true, isn't it, Laurie? Because I did this workshop with you, what, about a month ago?
Mhm.
And the images that I'm drawn to this time are very different to the images I was drawn to a month ago.
Yeah. I actually have a practice. I do this in the morning in one of these journals that I do a daily, like I'll go through and pull a daily, make a daily collage spread, and then I let it speak to me and kind of, like I said, see what's going on under the surface.
So it's kind of like a creative journaling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's interesting too, because it's almost like an oracle, but a personal
Mhm.
one. So I've been kind of thinking about some things to do with it once I have it, because I have this really cool image and then the writing that goes along with it. So it's an interesting, it is a great tool for insight. That is for sure.
And it's interesting, like as we discovered a while ago at the other workshop, some people are drawn to images and others are drawn to words.
Yes.
I tend to go for the words, and then I realized I have way too many and I can't use more.
I did that with this one that I just made. I had a bunch of words I didn't use, and so I just put them on the front page.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll put them in the middle of the book. I'll just, if I have, oops, look at that. I'll just put something in the middle of my book, and then when I get to it, it's like, oh, well, that's a prompt already.
Mm-hmm. I'm curious, how many people are ripping? We've got a ripper, we've got a ripper, we've got more rippers. How many people are being a tad OCD with large scissors? That would be me.
I have scissors too.
I have little scissors.
Oh, they're very cute.
They're purple.
Oh, perfect.
I also have a lot of words. A lot
Yes.
of words.
Same. But Laura had a great idea about what did you suggest that we last time that when we have extra words, what to do with them? You said something about put them in a sleeve and save them.
Yep, I keep, like a clear page protector
Ooh.
and or an envelope or something, and I just tuck them in here. And I keep them with my collage stuff, so I have a word bank. I also pull it out when I do classes because I have a pretty extensive word bank at this point, because I've been doing this for a couple of years now. So
Mhm.
I have a lot of magazines, and some pretty good stuff stacked up as far as words. The rest of it, I kind of try not to gather too many images that I don't use, but that's also impossible. Although I do use them in different ways than this too. So they can be used in other bookmaking activities or other creative activities, so.
I found a few words with pictures.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I always have to double check the other side because it's like, hang on. Did I want this side or that side? And then I cut away and then I'm like, no, I've just shot their head off. Oh my God, I committed magazine suicide.
Oh, I found dogs and a beach. This is good.
Oh, that's very, very good. When I did this workshop with Laurie a month ago, which was amazing, unfortunately, all my glue sticks were dead. So I used the squirty glue, you know, the normal everyday, like what kids have at school, the white glue. Well, it took my book 2 days to dry.
But it
Oh,
dried, right? It did
it
dry.
did dry. It did dry.
Good.
Oh my God, I have so many words.
I do too.
Ah, good,
They're good words.
right? I want them all, but my book isn't big enough.
I have
Does
big
it ever
books.
Have more words than pictures.
Oh, okay, there we go.
I did this with my mom once, and she didn't collage anything. She read every recipe, she started saving she pulled out all the recipes, she pulled out all these articles. So she has a page protector full of all her articles and no book maybe.
I have to admit, I've done that. One year when I was making a vision board years ago, and because as a family we used to do a similar thing on New Year's. The kids and I would sit down and would make vision boards, and I somebody had given me a great big pile of magazines, so I'd never seen them before, so I ended up reading.
Yep.
Like-
Some magazines are better than others for different things. The like decorating magazines are great for words and phrases. Other magazines are, some are good for textures, some are good for backgrounds. It just kind of depends.
Well, I must say I grabbed the other day because I was curious, because one of the things as a therapist and as a lay chaplain, I do a lot of ceremony and weddings, and I'm doing a wedding actually next week. And I grabbed a wedding magazine and was kind of like, there's not really much in here that's really kind of speaking to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a couple wedding magazines in my stash and I used them when I made that one for my daughter, for my notebook for my daughter's wedding. But other than
Mhm.
that, I was glad I had them, but
Mhm.
because I had that purpose, but other than that, I haven't used them either.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not what I'm interested in. At this time. Wherever. Right. How's everybody doing? Finding images.
Holy cow. Getting quite carried away here. Got enough of like 2 books.
Me too.
Oh, good. Then it's not just me. It's a bit addictive. It's either a bit addictive or it's a bit OCD. I'm not too sure which.
I admit to both.
It's a healthy addiction though, right?
It really is. It totally is. Ah, am I going to lose my ass?
But I will cop to the addiction part because I have lots of these journals. And sometimes I like to make them more than I like to fill them.
Mhm.
So when I get one that's full, I'm like, oh, look at it.
How long have you been doing this, Lori?
This actual activity,
Mhm.
lodging, probably about 2 years. I would say
Nice.
year and a half. It's something I kind of always did off and on. Maisha, you think 3 years?
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of COVID?
Yeah, wasn't it?
I thought it was 2021. I guess that's coming up about 3 years, isn't it? 2 or 3 years.
I was gonna say I thought it was the end of 2020, kind of, and then
Yeah.
Isn't that
it.
it's interesting how our language has changed, hey? Before COVID, after COVID.
Yeah, I don't have a good time tracker anymore. If there's
No.
time, I can't capture for some of that time. So. How's everybody feeling on their images? You feel like you have a good pile? Feel like you need a few more minutes?
Give me a few more minutes, please.
You got it.
Always better to have more than not enough.
That is true.
But then there's the conundrum, which ones to use, which ones? Had a lovely chat, went to go buy another string of sparkly lights because I have a thing about sparkly lights everywhere. And there was this poor chap, there's this massive wall of all the sparkly lights, and he's standing there like this. I said, "Can I help you? Because do you work here?" And I went, "No, of course I don't." And he's like, "They've given me too many choices. What do I do?" And I'm like, do you want big lights or small lights? Let's start there. And what color would you like? What color resonates for you? Do you? So he ended up buying 3 different packages. I should have got a commission. Oh, gee. Hmm. But this is far easier with a glue stick.
Are you gluing already?
No, I was just testing out the glue stick.
You eating
Ew. Yes, I was that child who would, smell the markers.
it?
I think every
It was
child.
Mom that smelled the markers.
Rubber cement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Many, many years ago in my misspent youth in the UK, I happened to live with a chap who got quite besotted with glue, and he would sniff glue, which would get him absolutely batshit crazy high and make his hair stand up. And I could sing for everyone if you like.
Well, wouldn't that be a treat?
You
Not
go,
really.
girl.
Not really. People would leave. They'd exit Zoom. Be like, "Oh my gosh, there's a crazy lady in an elf hat, caterwauling in our ears. This is not what we anticipated."
Love it. I'm gonna flip back to my downward facing camera and just kind of show you how I'll sort through my images and sort of what my practice or my process for this part, so you can see. I tend to move pretty quickly. I've made a lot of these, so this is being recorded, so please don't feel like you have to stop pulling images. Don't feel like you have to keep up with me, because you can always come back to this. You can watch it at your own pace. You can pause it, stop it, stuff like that. So I do want to keep the video kind of moving for the sake of anybody that wants to watch the replay, so there's not a lot of dead time. So I'm going to keep moving, but again, please take your time and just enjoy the process. So I have my images, they're not clean. All my rough edges are still here. Sometimes I'll trim them up, sometimes I leave them and allow that to overlap my page, and I'll cut it off at the end. It's completely your preference. And also, as I'm laying them out, I will trim them up there also and see kind of where I am. So I'll just start grabbing images and placing them on the cover. And without any glue, just kind of positioning, seeing what I like the composition of. And then once I get a layout that I like, I kind of slide it off to the side and then start gluing from the bottom up. The one thing you want to make sure when you're gluing is that you get all of your pieces and your images down very well with no air gaps or air bubbles. Because when we put the contact paper on, if there's air bubbles, it'll lift it off. So just making sure you have good glue coverage.
Mhm. Mm.
And sometimes I'll have, like on this image, I have words here that I don't particularly want, but I'll leave them there and then I'll cover them up with something else after. I'll just put a small image on top of that. Or something like that.
I have to admit, I'm finding the spiral bound a bit annoying.
Are you going in between the wires? Or just
Um,
up the edge?
I tried going in between on one part and now I'm going sod that for a game of bowls. Um, so I'm just going up to the edge.
For that, with the spiral bound, you might want to do 2 pieces of contact paper separate.
That's what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Too bad chopping this person's wrist off, but I don't really need that all. Mm, mm, mm. Mm.
I'm just going to start gluing mine. Again, it's okay to allow your pictures to overlap over the edges of the book. Like. Sometimes I'll use a tissue or a paper towel just to press on top of the image. To get all the air bubbles out.
Hmm. I thought I was a bit overzealous with getting 4 glue sticks, but you go through them pretty quickly.
The little ones go pretty quick, yeah.
Oh. Yes, Kathy. To your question, sorry, I just saw it now. I was too busy gluing. And also, Kathy, the intention too is what do you want to get from, yeah, I think that's a question. What do you want to get from the Omen Days? What opening do you want to have with that? How do you want to experience it? You know, what change would you like to see occur within self, right? Mm. Okay, I have a question, people. Saying that as far as I am aware, most of us here are female or identify as female. And if I am inaccurate, I apologize in advance. But when was the last time you got together with a group of women and created something and played?
I do it all the time, so my answer's no. It's what I do.
It's been a while.
It doesn't happen very often.
No.
No?
I don't make enough time for it.
And Angela says she does it all the time at Soulful Camp. Oh, that's wonderful. What's Soulful Camp, Angela? We don't know. Angela, unmute yourself, darling.
Yeah, so Soulful Camp is a 3-day weekend for women. That's an empowerment camp. We go to different locations around Ontario,
Oh, very cool.
and I'm one of the core leaders there. It's an amazing camp. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah, I'm gonna mute Sharon. Sharon, you're chatting.
Yes.
There we go. Just muted you, babe. That sounds amazing. Thank you, Angela. Oh, thank you for throwing in the link. Thank
yeah,
you.
there's the what do you call it? The website. We have
Yeah.
camps, I think, that are coming up this year, 4 or 5 camps.
Oh,
in
great.
24. So
And are they all in Ontario?
yeah, the ones are in Ontario right now. They do have one that's it's called Soulful Adventure that
Mhm.
is in Costa Rica in March.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can find all the information out on that website.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Up until a few years ago, I didn't do this very much either. And then when I started doing it, number one, I realized how stinking fun it is. And we don't do it enough. Somebody said that, I heard it, I don't do it enough. And we don't allow ourselves enough time for connection and community and just downtime and creativity in our day-to-day lives. So my goal is to bring that to people's lives a little more. And open up doors to allow you to express yourself.
That's fabulous. Well, and also, if you think about it, in days of yore, right? Women got together and they cooked together, they wove together, they
Sewing
made
circles.
bread together, they quilted together. And it was very, very empowering for them. Plus, they you know, created amazing, beautiful things, but they were able to share their stories
Yeah,
and to be witnessed and to, you know, receive support. And let's be honest, I mean, uh, I've noticed this with clients. If we can get the hands busy or I can get the body moving, then the energy, the capacity to go deeper is easier as opposed to, you know, sitting there going,
being all up in our heads, yeah, and trying to think
yeah,
about the answers or the response or,
or what are they going to think if I say this? Or oh, I need a tissue. Getting overzealous, it's my glue stick and it's all over me. Oh my goodness, so many words, so little space.
You could do the inside cover too. Remember,
Honey, I'm doing all the covers.
there's gonna be no room for journaling.
I'm doing all the pages. Stop the journaling.
Oh. Some interesting stuff occurs when you do this also. Like I have a piece of art that I'm working on that I have this flower I drew. And this flower is, I don't even know. I was looking at it and I was like, that doesn't even look like a flower. I'm not sure where this idea came from. And then I was flipping through a magazine. And I found this little flower in a
Ah,
and it is almost identical to the flower that I painted, which was kind of strange. So I tore it out of the magazine and it's been floating around my desk.
that's fabulous.
I think I'll use it today. But I was showing Maisha, who I was talking to when I found it. I'm like, look at this. This is the flower. And I showed her the piece of art. I'm like, "Oh, maybe I did know what I was doing."
Right? I think we do. I think, you know, we don't give ourselves credit for all the things that we do know that we have lurking in us in a gorgeous, fabulous, wise woman.
It's true.
We do in the back and the front.
Back and front. And if you're like Jenny and you have way too many images, inside cover, back cover.
My desk.
Huge.
I've also had people snap one image in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cover the whole thing with the texture.
Just do whatever you want, whatever feels
you
good.
like.
This is your journey journal. Yeah. Mm. Okay, seriously, I'm getting glue on everything. It shouldn't be left unsupervised. Yeah.
Yeah, the glue does get a little sticky.
Right? Mm. But this is so much easier with a glue stick than it is with that squirty glue. Yeah. Oh, I like that. Where am I going to put you? Mm.
Vision board. Kathy asked in the chat, how is this more powerful than a vision board? It's actually very similar. And I use this in replace of a vision board. And I use it like for a vision journal. It's very similar because it's pulling. Well, I guess with a vision board, you're choosing what your focus is going to be on. And I think what would be different about this is that with this, I mean, you're choosing it, but you're not consciously choosing it. You're allowing whatever's kind of speaking to you to come through, which for me, I think can be as powerful as a vision board, because then it's not really filtered through our lens of the moment, if you would say.
Well, and also what I would say, because I did say that, Kathy, this is like a vision board in a way on crack. Because the fact is, I don't know about anybody else here. You know, we've all created vision board. I'm assuming we've all created vision boards, and then they hang on the wall, and they stay right there, and we only see them when we walk into a certain room. You know, so they're not like this. You can pick up and take with you. You can have it with you all the time, right? And so, especially as we move through, see what I mean about glue? It's everywhere. Especially as we move through the Omen days, right? And you're kind of like, oh my. So I was saying to Laurie before everybody hopped on, I'd taken one of my doggos out first thing this morning as the light was just beginning to start to come up, and there's a raccoon just kind of like, hey, I'm being a raccoon. I'm like, raccoon, this, which the animal symbolism is releasing masks, and being in your authenticity, your sovereignty, your integrity. And then lo and behold, it kept going, and there was another raccoon. I'm like, okay, I'm paying attention, and so I do this in my daytime. I jot down what animals I see or what plants come and talk to me that day. And it's really interesting to see how they tie into the intention I've set for my day or the card that I pulled. I mean, the other day, the other week, a few weeks ago, I had an owl come like zoom over my head, park itself in a tree, kind of sit there, look at me, and then follow me all the way along for a good, I don't know, 500 meters. Well, I don't know about you, but I've never had an owl do that.
I have.
Have you? Well done.
Yeah. Yeah. A couple of times, actually. Yeah.
Nice. But it's very powerful, don't you think?
It's amazing. Yeah. And you feel kind of really special, like honored, or,
Yeah.
That sort of, yeah, yeah. It is
I
a bit like
agree.
that.
I agree. And you kind of, and it is about seeing the things that other people, like owl energy is wisdom. It's, stepping into the darkness. It's seeing things in the dark that others don't see, right?
Yes.
And if we look at our subconscious and our deep emotions, that can be very dark.
Mm.
So there's a very long explanation, Kathy. Margot tends to attract cats. Very cool. What kind of cats? Where from, Margot? Whose cats? Do you return the cats or do you keep the cats? Are you really that lady that lives in the corner with like a bazillion cats because you've attracted them all and you're not giving them back? We want to know. Curious minds want to know, Margot. Oh, she finds their owners. Okay, I was just joking. I have a very warped sense of humor, honey. Ask Andrea.
I love your warped sense of humor.
Thank you. I think that's because you have the same.
Duh.
Oh my God, I'm having this one, Laurie, is so much better than the last one I did. And I'm not judging, but I am judging.
A better experience, or you like the book better, or all of the above?
A better experience other than everything now is covered in glue.
It dries.
But I like my images better. Yeah, I'm really, really digging this one.
I love it.
I'm good.
I'm gonna add these Yogi tea bags. Have little sayings on their tags. And I'm gonna
Oh,
add.
how fun that you collected them.
Oh, I have a, yes, I collected. To my daughter's dismay. Oops. What's everybody doing? I'm going to busily assembling images. I love it. I'm gonna pop in and show how I trimmed mine up, because I do have my cover finished. You can see I have it overlapping both sides. I just left all my extra paper on. And I just open it from the inside and trim around the edge of the cardboard cover. Just to get any of the extra flash off.
Picking your idea, Laurie, and I'm sticking the other ones that I have emotionally attached to in the book.
In the book. Yep, it'll be a nice surprise when you find it.
Yeah. But I'm like, I can't let you go. You're too pretty.
I love to have little surprises. Okay. So this is what mine looks like. This is the front.
Mm.
Back.
Oh, I didn't do the back.
It really has no rhyme or reason. It's just stuff I like. I am going to show you the cover, how to put the cover on. It can sometimes be a little bit tricky. which if you've ever contact papered your kitchen cabinets, you know, this stuff is a beast. But it is wonderful for these books. I will usually cut a piece that overlaps all the edges just a bit, because I like to fold it over and make sure that my work is protected. And if you have a book, like a composition book, I usually use one continuous piece to cover it. I didn't used to, so it's really not necessary. If you don't want to, you can cover the front or the back and then cover the other side in two separate pieces. Just depending on what kind of material you're using. Before I used contact paper, I had some self-laminating sheets that weren't big enough to do in one piece. So for that, if you use more than one piece, I'll usually put my seam on the back side. So I'm gonna run through covering it real quick, just so you can kind of see how I go about it. And then when you're ready to, you can always come back into the video and watch, or you'll at least have seen it. So I will start on the front. It really doesn't matter. Just one of the edges. You want to start on the open edge. And I'll put that away from me. And then I will open up about an inch. Start just releasing this stuff when it's backing. So I'll pull back an inch at the top of the contact paper. And I will overlap that on all edges. And just stick down the very edge. And then I flip it over. And turn it towards me. And I'll put my fingers underneath the paper here. I'm gonna put them underneath in a minute, but I put them underneath and it's stuck under here. And then the sticker is coming up and it's actually on the back side of this. So when I put my fingers underneath, I push, keeping it flat, and it pushes the backing off the paper. You can see it sliding. And underneath, it's allowing the adhesive to attach without causing any air bubbles. So I just push till I get to the edge. And then I sort of flip it over. I leave the backing just kind of hanging there. And you can see the overlap is stuck to my desk, which is fine. You just want to make sure you don't have any scraps. But before I do the backside, I'm gonna wrap these edges, because if you completely wrap the whole thing, these sticky edges are gonna attach to the sticky edges off the back and they're gonna seal your book closed, which is kind of a pain. So here I cut the corners out. So I cut a little square into the corner and get rid of that piece. Do that on both corners. And that just allows you to have a nice clean fold on the inside. And then I come here to the binding and I'll make a slice right kind of to the edge of the book. Top and bottom. And then you open the cover and just fold these little tabs up and into the cover. You stick inside. Top one over. And then you have a nice clean cover ready to go. So then I'll flip around and just bring this cover, the contact paper around the binding. I stick my hand back in underneath. And I press it across the back. Press out any air bubbles. And then I'll repeat that same. This one's actually a little bit long. I'll probably trim some of this off so I don't have quite so much overlap. If you're going to put images on the inside cover, I recommend doing that before you cover the outside, so you can kind of catch and wrap those. Cut my corners out. Doesn't really have to be perfect. Just getting that extra material out of there. And then cutting to the binding again. Opening up the cover and folding these flaps down. And then you should be left with a little tab of material here. And here, and I just cut these off. So this is kind of the basic finish. It can be done at this point. If you want to add like the strings or the charms or stuff like that. The reason I do that is twofold. One is because it looks fancy. And the second is that if you keep a long string, you can use it as a bookmark or a place marker. So I usually have a couple of them that are at least longer than the spine of the book. And that way I can put a charm on it if I desire, or a button or anything really. And then if I can keep my place in the book. So the way I'll do this is I'll just usually grab a couple pieces of string. And I'll open the book to the center and lay them through the center of the binding. And then if you wrap it around the outside and just tie a simple square knot at the top. So this is giving me, and this part is completely optional. I just wanted to show it in case you wanted to add it. These are short, so these would just be kind of there. You could put some charms on them, you could knot them, you can do anything you want. Beads. These are the two longer ones, so these will be my bookmarks. And I will put a little weight on the end of these, just so they're heavy. I just grabbed a couple charms I had, so I'll just use these. So when I tie it down, I just want to make sure that it's still longer than the binding of the book when I tie it. And that way it can come through the whole thing and hold my place. And I again just use a very simple knot. So then I have this little piece, I can mark a page. And then I'm gonna mark. That's the smallest charm. I don't think it's gonna add any weight at all, but. How's everybody doing?
I'm having a
To
bugger of a
rewatch.
time. Sorry, Andrea, what were you saying, darling?
I was gonna say, I think I need to rewatch the start of the cover, putting the cover on it, because I'm lost somehow.
The cover can be a little bit tricky. Yeah, I definitely recommend rewatching it. Was there a certain part of it that was tricky?
No, I just, I didn't quite, I don't feel quite confident in my ability to do it without getting totally stuck with contact paper.
A little bit at a time would be my recommendation.
Sort of like Jenny with the glue. We have things in common. We do.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with contact paper is just keeping the backing on it and allowing it to kind of come off as the paper goes onto your book. Which is why I showed you, if it flips, oh, I know the words are gonna make it even more confusing. If it's the closer it is to the surface of the book and the more parallel it stays, the less likely you are to have air gaps.
Understood.
So you don't wanna like lift it up and try to lay it over. If it runs from the sticky side out.
Yeah, I just, it's kind of curly and I have fear around this.
It's a tricky thing, so it's a valid fear.
Oh, good.
And it's a technique. I've probably made 50 of these books. So my first couple, I have air bubbles and it's not the end of the world. It's texture for your book. You just have to know how to spin it.
Have you ever tried using Mod Podge instead of contact paper?
I haven't done actual Mod Podge because it's sticky, I find. However, I did, so this one that I have. Well, I'll just keep it. This one that I made, I have not put contact paper on. I used a matte medium. However, I found that it's allowing other things to stick to it. So it's picking up scraps of paper off my desk and are sticking to it and other stuff like that. It also doesn't feel that protected. So I know if I was just to water on this cover, it would damage what I have here. So I'm going to cover it with contact paper eventually. That being said, you could use Mod Podge. You might get a little tackiness on it when you touch it. But I did this because I wanted to do a little more hand painting on my cover before I finished it. Or maybe some doodling. I added, like this one, I added some of my own doodles because I have a pen and paper. Lots of creative addictions. But I just kind of draw stuff and it ends up. So I just use some of my little scraps and have them on my book. Little bird face. I have this little donkey face that he's floating around. I'm not sure when I'm going to use him. He almost came out. Yeah, mostly I use contact paper these days. Maisha, have you ever tried Mod Podge or anything other?
No, I
think-
don't know. I guess it depends on, I don't know. I guess it would depend on how you, because obviously if you've used Mod Podge on like a vision board or something and you're okay with the texture and I just don't know if I don't know if it would reactivate if you got it, if it was in a hot car or like
My
you said, if
concern
you
would be
got
more the
stuck.
touch, the constant touching it. Because a book you're touching and it's having the oils of your skin on a lot, so. I have not tried it,
Oh, thank you. I was just curious.
yeah. No, I like to talk through things though, because sometimes it's like, oh, that would be. a good
Try it and then tell us how it goes.
Yeah. I do have some, I'll have to experiment on something and see how it goes. How it's inside. So one of the other things that I do want to share with you, is in the majority of my journals like this, I will do what's called a living index in the very front part of it. And, you know, typically a book has an index where you can go and you can look up anything you want. But when you have a book that you're creating and you don't know what's going to go in it, you don't necessarily know where those things are yet. So for this one, because it's my idea book, I made a quite extensive index with codes and I mark my pages, but you can simply just put, obviously this, if it's a journal for thoughts or whatever, if you have a great idea or something that really was important to you or an observation that you wanted to record, you can make your own criteria in the index. And then as you add things or as you come across things, you just mark down whatever page. You will have to number your pages. Which I do just one side. I just number odd pages in the corner, and that way I kind of have a quick reference for anything that I want to find quickly. So it is a suggestion that I received from somebody on doing handmade journals, and I've definitely incorporated it, and it's just a way to keep track of your thoughts or things that are more important and maybe you want to be able to find quicker than having to rifle through a whole journal. So that is one of the things that I use, and I use it in most of them. And even if I don't put it in right away, I'll just leave a blank. This is brand new. I will leave a page in the beginning that's open so I can add it. So I'll always have something in the beginning that's open. This one I did not put an index in, but this is also my daily book that I was talking about earlier. Where I'll do a daily collage and let it speak to me. So I do one side collage and then the other side I write. And so this one puts all stuff in there. This is my little guy that I made with you while we were on
That looks fabulous.
the workshop.
Oh, and look, Angela's showing hers too. Oh, that looks great.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, and there's Mary Oliver. Oh, that's beautiful too.
Beautiful.
Okay. Oh, and May's showing hers. Okay, ladies, what I highly encourage us all to do then, let's be bold and be brave. Take a photo and post it in the Yeoman Days group. Share it. Because then we can see. Because this is mine. So I have, that's my front cover. That's my inside cover. There's, see, I told you I got carried away. There's my back inside cover. And there's my back cover.
Beautiful. Love it.
And then there's all sorts of shit in the middle.
It's mine. Let's see.
Let's see. Oh, awesome, Judy.
Nice.
Yeah, see, and look, isn't this
We're not
beautiful?
done.
No, but isn't it beautiful? They're all so different. They're all so perfectly different, which is, and let's see yours. Oh, that is fabulous. Look at what we created in 1 hour together. God, we should rule. Oh, beautiful, Anne. We should rule the world. We really should.
I like your little feet.
Right?
Be a lot less problems if women ruled the world.
Oh, I think so too. Okay. So, my darlings, thank you so much for coming. And Lori, Thank you so much for doing this. This was amazing.
Absolutely, it was super fun. I'm glad everybody participated and had a good time, I hope.
Oh, I did. Thank
Yes.
you.
Definitely. Thank you.
Please post pictures of your finished journals. I know not everybody's finished. I would love to see them. The ones that you've shown are amazing. May, I love your little helper there.
Right?
Yes, it's supposed to be nap time and she fell asleep for like 20 minutes and woke back up. So she'll be having a second nap soon. I was like, oh, perfect, nap time. And today she was like, nope.
I don't think
No,
so.
not today. Surprise.
Love
So
it.
yes, do please post in the group your journals. And yeah, this has been fabulous. Lori, big blessings and huge thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much.
Thank
Okay, everybody, we wave jazz hands goodbye. Jazz hands. Yay! Okay, take good care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks.
you.
Bye-bye.